All right, y'all, we back. You feel what I'm saying? Hey, look, I had to go. Prince started crying. You feel what I'm saying? I had to go take care of him. Then I had to go handle other business and bop, bop, bop. You feel? I had a lot of things to go do. So it's nighttime now. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm gonna finish this reaction. So I guess this video is gonna be edited. I'm gonna go ahead and get both clips in. You feel me? But let's get right into it, man. It's enough talking. Y'all already know what's going on.
Wasn't easy, man. So when the conversations do start about you coming back part time, where does that come from? Like, did you approach? Were you approached? How does that begin, and then it kind of goes from there?
Well, I was approaching the team, almost every day or every week. Like, hey, is there any progress in your status? And trying to get in touch with the mayor's office, trying to get in touch with our political figures, our political leaders to figure out how do we work around this. I talked to scientists, I talked to health professionals. I went down the checklist of, hey, is there any way that I can work around this? And really what I ran into was, it affected so many people, bro. Like, it affected so many people, not just in New York City, but across the whole entire world. So, I was getting answers back because they were not trying to make it, hey, we're just trying to get you to play and give you special, treatment. So I had to respect that, and I had to honor that, and go back and talk with, my support system, figure out what was the best way to approach this, and
I'm glad he stuck with it though. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad he stuck with it. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of y'all would have been under pressure. You would have been. You feel me? You would have broke in all because somebody said do this. You feel what I'm saying? Like, nah, like sometimes money shouldn't be able to buy you. You feel what I'm saying? If money's able to buy you, then what are you really worth? You feel what I'm saying? So it's,
kind of got spun into like, yo, this is only Kyrie, but literally like thousands of city municipal workers were fired, and there was protests, and it was affecting a lot more, obviously, than just you. Yeah. It is a little tricky that, all of a sudden the Yankees and Mets can't play, and then all of a sudden there's some progress, but that's another debate for another day.
I don't even want to debate it. I'm like, I'm just happy for those that can stand firm in what they believe in.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Standing firm on what you believe in.
Come up in our society where they impact people's decisions based on real life circumstances.
Exactly.
Kids, people, families, and
religion.
I just feel like it got confusing for a lot of us.
Yeah.
It got spun, like you said, in so many different ways. But really, what I was standing on was, hey, there's a whole community of us, right, that have been labeled as the unvaccinated, as the conspiracy theorists, whatever, we've been labeled as whatever these names have been brought to our lives, right, who we are as people. But I was just saying, I am human, you're human, you have the right to make your own decision. I respect that, and I pray that you respect me in the same way.
Exactly.
But when you're playing in an entertainment game, or you're playing in, kind of a bigger game with yourself, it has rules. So
that particular set of circumstances for you, it was crazy. As we get to it, you then become the only player in the NBA that is dealing with this particular set of circumstances. You're not the only unvaccinated. You're still not the only unvaccinated player. So even though it gets spun that way, it was a very tricky situation, obviously, for you. So when you get back on the court, how long did it take for you to feel back, like acclimated, or you're just boom, right at it?
You probably would be like, what? You serious? Like, I never felt like
I knew you were gonna say that. I was gonna say. You dropped 50 and 60 in the same week, and you still never felt.
There was nothing to lose. It was only like the journey to enjoy at that point, because I was sitting at home, and I don't even want to say sitting at home. I was wondering at home what my future was going to look like. Whether I was going to be traded, whether I was going to be released, whether I was going to get the opportunity to be on another team, how I was going to spin this for myself in a positive way. You know, so
Kyrie is goaded, bro. Not because of only basketball, but his mindset, period, bro. Like, I feel like Kyrie as a person is so genuine, bro. Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just saying by, like, his demeanor and how he talks and stuff, bro. Like, he seems like a cool dude, bro.
But I never felt like myself throughout the season because I'm usually sustaining a level of growth throughout the year instead of trying to catch up with everybody that's been playing for 4 or 5 months. You know, they've been at it every day since October or September. You know, I was at it maybe September, October. I was healing from my ankle injury. I was still dealing with that. And when we got in training camp in San Diego, I was not expecting, you know, a mandate to be brought down in a way that it wasn't going to allow me to play at all. Like, you know, I had the opportunity to play away games still, but there was no plan in place. There was no vision of like how it was going to work for our team, and I think that really impacted not just me, but a lot of people. So just had to sit in that hot seat for a little bit and deal with it.
I'm reacting. Thank you.
Bro. I don't think you getting out of the hot seat anytime soon. I think you
I'm okay with that.
That's just your seat for now.
I'm okay with
the ankle injury, I'm happy you mentioned that. So, not to dwell on last year, but how close were you to playing at that point? Like, you're playing in the next round, you're missing that. I remember seeing you in the arena with the scooter, and I'm like, oh, he's not going to play no time soon.
Yeah.
How close, how far were you from that?
That was by far my most traumatic ankle injury.
It was a bad time.
Yeah, it was, and if you look at the video or the image, the still image of it, my ankle was 90 degrees on the floor.
You touched floor, yeah.
And what made it the worst one was the height I was coming down because I had just shot a floater, and you know, bro's foot was right there, and I come down on it, and it didn't twist right away and come back. It was on the ground for a second, you know, and I felt it, and I felt like I broke my ankle. Yeah. So I was scared, I was nervous, and when injuries happen at the height of the playoffs or your season or your postseason, man, that's not something you want to deal with. So
what? I can imagine.
Taking and playing. I didn't start walking normal probably until like mid-September, into September. So training camp was like my first time going up and down and getting back my feel. So I knew it was going to be a process for me to play again, but it would have been accelerated being around the guys and playing game speed, you know what I mean? So now when the mandate was dropped, I'm at home with, you know, my healing ankle, but I'm not getting NBA basketball anymore, you know, or NBA run. So I had to be creative and just play the waiting game, bro, and wait until all of this stuff kind of calmed down and there was some light at the end of the tunnel.
You've dealt with injury all injuries are at the worst time, but you
what? Even that dude.
And that was another one. It was like you were pretty banged up then. Did that inform like I can't rush back from this even though it's the playoffs? It's obviously it only ended up being another week and there wasn't no decision to make up to that, but was that part of the process at the time too?
Two different situations, you know, just because I was dealing with a knee injury, you know, my ankle injury, it was a little bit more sensitive to me because I have to walk. You know, my knee is like I could, you know, tie it together a little bit, you know, be creative with how I get my VMO, my quad firing and stuff like that. So I was able to get back into some type of form that I was at during those playoffs in 2015. But
gigantic brace on that leg at the time. I seen some footage recently. I was like, yo, how do you? For the way you play with that thing was nuts.
But that's the mental hurdle that a lot of athletes have to face in high pressure situations where your team is not necessarily behind, but they're depending on you to get back, which I did. And in those 2015 playoffs, but I just wasn't ready. You know, my knee was weak. It wasn't where I wanted it to be standard wise, but I gave it a chance. Right? And I ended up with a fractured kneecap, and I was out for 7 months. And you look back on those decisions, and you're like, hey, if I would have kept myself out, would that have been the right decision? Who knows, right? No regrets in that. You know, I went after a championship and I live with the results. Got a scar that I look at every day. That's just a reminder. But my ankle injury it felt different because I honestly felt like my ankle was broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I couldn't do ankle molds as much as I wanted to.
So it was
I
sprained.
couldn't walk around the way I wanted to. So I was already under the impression this is going to take me more than just 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me until we lost that, this is going to take me 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get off my feet completely. And I'm a little bit of a wild card, you know, in terms of how I approach.
No way.
I'm a bit of a wild card, how I approach my body at times, you know, what I feel like I push myself through. And I kept trying to push myself through it. And even in the summertime to get ready for October. And that was, like, it wasn't going, I wasn't progressing as I would have liked. So 2 different situations, but still mental and physical hurdles to get over that I look back on, and I wouldn't change anything except probably just being a lot more patient with myself.
So I want to stick with the Cavs run for a second. 2016, you feel like that's the highest level of play you've played?
Well, shout out to all my teammates on that.
I should have brought my hat. I had like the hat.
Shout out to Cleveland, you know, on just a historical run. Our fan base was through the roof.
What?
How we collectively galvanized each other. They gave us energy. Traveling on the road. I mean, it was called Quicken Loans at the time before it was Rocket Mortgage. The Q was jumping.
Yeah.
You know, Fred McLeod was doing the game still. Rest in peace to him. And we just had a good group. And that run was special because we had dealt with so much adversity in the regular season, you know, internal stuff that we had to get right as teammates, and then going into the playoffs, we were like, man, we could deal with anything. You know, we're gonna sweep through a lot of these teams. But looking back on it, I think it just was more special because of the way we did it and the circumstances, situation that we were faced with, and I had to go deep within myself to bring out all of these tools that I had learned since, you know, I was learning fundamentals, and just put them on display on the biggest stage. And I think that was one of the highest levels of play that I played, but it wasn't the highest for me.
He wearing his hat like me. See, I done started the trend.
It was a short.
Telling y'all, man, I would start
out there and hope something lands. So I was just throwing jabs and things were landing against the best. And when you start landing things against the best and you find that rhythm, that's when it would happen. And also, by the way, I had a lot of help. Like, also confidence that was being given to me. Like, yo, Kai, just don't even worry about how many attempts that you're shooting. Don't worry about where you're shooting. Just be you, and we're going to do this as a collective group. But we just need you to be aggressive and not think about, like, how do I be efficient in these spaces? So I had a lot of help. That's why I got to shout out the whole entire Cleveland area for that, man.
That Game 5 is one of the most impressive performances as a duo, as individually. But to throw up 40s like you guys were and against that defense, the highlights from that series, your highlights are like insane. The spinning jumper over Clay, the lefty leg.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Red, you got poked in your eye. Like, these are like iconic plays in basketball. But like, they made you work for them joints.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm like, is that as tough as it is? You played in a tough series since then.
And that's why I said it was one of those like high level playing moments for me, because since then I've been challenged differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before it's easy to go in there. Me and Clay had a series against each other, but it was one game. You know, we didn't have a full 7 games. It was the first time me and him got to go against one another, and we followed that up in 2017 going against them with Kev there. So that was history that was supposed to be made, you know, like
that series was lit.
Golden State Warriors be going against us again, and we would have a trilogy with that series.
Yeah,
we being there, and
they went 3 in a row.
Really appreciate
everybody. Golden State went longer, but
it's not ever going to be done like that again.
Yeah,
you know, all the ages. Overall, I was 23, 24, so there wasn't much that I was like envisioning that my future looked like at that time in terms of career achievements of winning a championship at that time. I was just like, man, if we make it there, I just got ball out.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm part of the ground building stage of we put our team together, we put our organization together, we put our teammates in the right positions in terms of roles, and I'm now much more responsible for more. You know, I've taken on that responsibility of more. So yeah, the Cleveland days, man, they're really special as we reflect, but huge learning experience too that I took from them.
That's what it seems like. I know you talked about leadership and since that time and how that fed into that. Obviously, your years in Boston as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 30 now.
Yep.
Do you feel like you're in your prime? Like, do you view your career in that sense?
I'll say it again. I feel like I'm slowly crawling into it, just as my talent becomes much more of a canvas for me to work with in the summertime and in the season. You know, finding motivation is playing different styles and figuring out what works for you. But I think at this point in my prime, as I crawl into it, it's consistently being at a level of say enjoyable assassin time, right? Like just being an assassin consistently for the next 4 years, 5 years. I won't even put a time, expiration on it. It's just like being consistently great, where it's not so much about the numbers and the achievements and accolades. It's like I'm on the best team and I'm one of the best players on the best team, and we've done it as a dynasty because we literally went through this over here in order to accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to say I'm crawling into my prime without the experiences of Cleveland, and then going to Boston, and then signing up for Brooklyn, and then now being in this situation now where we're 2 days out and we got swept.
Yeah.
And it's my first time in my career I've been swept.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have so much time on my hands to think about it and plan and envision. So yeah, let's just say me turning 30 this year was like,
I can feel you like
there's some growing pain. Oh, we the same age.
I'm ready. Like
That's
that video
crazy.
I talked about last time. You're just like, oh, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah. So what does Kyrie add to his game? I have my running joke is you've mastered the game. There's no offensive tool you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
I told Kevin that
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I gotta see him hit a hook shot.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he can hit a hook shot. Like I bet he. But like our joke is like you can go right, you can go left, you can shoot with left hand. You obviously incredible finishing. You can shoot from any range. We even see you dunking a little bit last year, not as much this year. Hey, you might
That's what I'm saying. I
Like,
never felt
cap
like
raises, bro. Like
I just never felt like I got back this year.
what is there?
But,
What is there to
yeah.
add to that palette?
See, and that's probably why this year for me was the level of disappointment that I feel is not the level of disappointment I'm pretty sure that people had when they chose us to be contenders.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
just like I have a different level of expectation for myself. So when I'm working on my game and I'm being creative with how I'm approaching it, meaning, what am I trying to accomplish today? Instead of just make a bunch of shots, like, and even in the games, what am I trying to accomplish today where it supersedes just going out there and get a bunch of points and assists and recreate moments for people at home, like, let's be honest, people really want those recreated moments, like, no, be the same player that you were game 5 and be the same player you were, when you had 14 straight games of 30 plus points or 25 plus points and, and I don't want to throw things that I haven't done, but
I think Kevin deals with this too.
it's just after a while there's an easy expectation people throw on you to be at that level all the time, and that's not part of my motivation. My motivation now is, hey, all right, yeah, it'd be great to add a hook shot, but
it's there. Like,
yeah,
no lie,
it's there. It's there, but now I just want to put a complete game together, or a complete strategy together, and work on things situational wise. So when we get into our postseason, which is the season that really matters, once you're out of the carrot race, now you're into the physical and the dominant. I like to say, like, you go deep into your will when you're in the playoffs, because now you're challenged beyond what any of the refs can control and any of what the other defensive coaches on the other team can control. You know what I mean? It's like you throw everything out of the window and it's just hoop, and it's who can I dominate and how much will do I have in me to consistently do it to win 4 straight games. Mm-hmm. So adding to my game now is really adding to my own personal resume of being successfully dominant as a team and being one of the best players on that team. So if that means getting a few more assists, if that means taking a few less shots and being efficient with those shots, if it means taking more shots and being more efficient with that, if it means switching up my role, going from the 1 to the 2 or the 2 to the 1, or being flexible for my coach to throw me in there to guard bigs at times, you know, even though it's uncomfortable for me, I just really want to be complete. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the goals that me and my dad set out when I was a kid, was just having a complete game. You know, I've been knocked for so many weaknesses that I have, but then, you know, somehow I end up in this category of being one of the most skilled of all time. And being one of the most skilled is it's a complete game that I want to be great at. You know, so if I'm not consistently doing that, I love that criticism, and I welcome that. But right now, it's just focused on a personal resume of, I like to put together 4 straight years of just team dominance, winning 60+ games, you know, going deep in the playoffs, and having fun building.
I ain't never think about it that way, Kyrie. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, Kyrie said something, I ain't never think about it that way, bro. Like, see, because we on the outside looking in, bro. You feel what I'm saying, bro? We want Kyrie to be the same Kyrie at Cleveland. Kyrie got different goals now, bro. Kyrie trying to be complete. Kyrie trying to be better than Kobe. You know what I'm saying, bro? So remember, Kobe missed the playoffs one time too. Now, I mean, he have KD and all of them, but Kobe missed the playoffs, and when Kobe came back, man, I think he won one after he came back. I think Kyrie is trying to get a complete game where he can kill anything, like anything. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I think that's the same thing with Kevin. So I don't understand exactly where he's coming from.
It helps us win games. It helps us win championships. Because I feel like I missed out on that, just consuming the game and trying to answer every question that everybody has for me of who can I be and what's the maximum potential that he can achieve. It's like, and I don't want to overspeak here, but last year when I started like dunking a little bit more, I had worked on my body to be able to do those things. And
he trying to get up. He trying to two-handed. Hey, imagine Kyrie two-handed niggas at 30. What? Kyrie trying to play longer than LeBron right now. Kyrie trying to play when he 50. He really trying to live that Uncle Drew life. He really trying to live that Uncle Drew lifestyle. Like, oh God.
50, 40, 90 and averaging 25+ per game. I'm grateful for that. But I also am even more appreciative of the work that I put in before I got there. That's the threshold I'm talking about. Is like, you put together a great summer, you put together a great, you know, first 3 months of the season, 4 months of the season, and then you're ready to accelerate in playoff instincts even more, where who knows what can come out of the tool bag, you know, because I done worked on 1-foot jumpers, I done worked on hook shots, I done worked on dunking, I done worked on, you know, beating the other team up and down the floor with my conditioning, I done worked on all these things, so now I'm just playing off instincts, and now I can just play the game. But compared it to like this year, I had to catch up, and playing catch up in a league that's only getting better, it's not the position I would like to be in.
So you worked on the one. So you.
I feel that. I can understand that.
It won't be just Kevin out there and Jokic doing that. No. Okay. No. I'm trying to make sure, because Kevin, you know, his bag is deep as well. But we have a little debate about, you know, what about who's bag. So this most skill combo, you wear that hat. You're good. I love that. Like people online are like, no. And then like Bron and D-Wade come out and go, yeah, those are those guys. They're really like that. Like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm grateful for our peer respect, but I'm trying to fall in a stratosphere that hasn't been done before, you know, and no label or title can ever justify that for me. You know, I'm grateful for all the recognition and all the respect I've garnered. And part
that
of
boy said garnered.
But another
part I gotta start getting my vocabulary up, nigga. Garnered.
What makes me happy is playing this way, being on great teams, being able to dominate our matchups individually, but doing it in a way where it doesn't just look easy, but it looks like, damn, you gotta put in a whole lot of work in order to make it seem like you do it like that. Yeah. That's where I feel like people kind of take advantage of what they see, from greatness. And it's not just in basketball, it could be in different sectors of the world, in different industries. But like when people make it look easy, it's like, I think somehow it doesn't register. Like, it took a shit ton of time to be able to do it that way.
I think a lot of you guys suffer from that. I think Bron does. I think you do. I think Kobe did as well. I think Kevin does as well. Like, it does look easy, but it took a lot of shit to make this shit look easy.
Shit. Thank y'all for watching, man. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like and make sure you leave a comment on what video you want me to react to. Jesus.